Hello and welcome to the Japan Business Podcast episode 3. My name is Eric Ahorner and I'm your host and the founder of Japan Business Consulting. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at sales channels in Japan. In episode 1, I gave you some background and an intro about myself. In episode 2, we were talking about how to generally navigate the Japanese market from a 30,000 foot view. And today we're going to dive into Japanese sales channels and go a bit deeper into the different nuances on which decisions you might need to make when starting to work with the Japanese market. Now, there are various sales channels in Japan, and we have to identify three different categories. First of all, you have the different online platforms like Amazon, Rakuten, and Yahoo Shopping, which are known here in the US partially, but rather unknown, for example, is Yahoo Shopping or Rakuten, which is functioning more as a cashback or cash rewards platform here in the US, which are still very popular in Japan and are basically, with Amazon, the top 3 on the market for online platforms. But there are also online platforms like iPros that catered more towards the B2B sector, and we will dive into those in a separate episode. The episode today is geared towards mainly B2C channels. There are also options in regards to forming local partnerships with local businesses. As priorly mentioned in episode 2, you can work with distributors or sales agents. And today I'm also going to introduce you some all-in-one marketing agencies that help you from logistics to marketing to point of sales activities in Japan, even doing Amazon or online platform management for you. Then, last but not least, I'm going to talk quickly about a case study or an example where a US company made an effort to establish a physical store or a showroom. This might be an option for you if you're a bit more advanced in your Japan market entry journey and want to take it to the next levels. Now, as you can imagine, there are pros and cons for each of those activities, and we're going to dive into them one by one. Now, first of all, the online platforms, I want to take a kind of a deep dive here. For that, I'm going to minimize my picture here, and we're going to talk about first Amazon Japan. If you didn't know yet, for example, this is at the moment the biggest online platform online shopping platform in Japan, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago. Until a couple of years ago, it was Rakuten, and still combined with their travel and other activities that they're doing, Rakuten is still, in terms of revenue, the biggest platform in Japan, because they're not only offering online shopping. Then number 3 on the online shopping platform ranking is Yahoo Shopping Japan. Yes, Yahoo is still a big name in Japan, and a lot of people do purchase on Japan still and leave their reviews. Now, just to give you an example of how you should optimize your listing in Japan, and also to better understand the online shopping habits. What you can do to better understand if your product or your niche is listed in Amazon or in any of the other online platforms, you can, in case that isn't happening yet, you can adjust here to English if necessary. And what I would recommend you is to go to, let's adjust this to English to facilitate this, to go here to bestsellers. This is called ranking in Amazon Japan, so bestsellers in English. And here you can see the bestsellers by product category on Amazon CEO.Japan. These bestsellers, or this ranking, is updated hourly, as you can see here. So depending on the sales revenue, these are updated by category hourly. So if you have, for example, let's go into electronics, and there you have a lot of different options. You can look into what are the best sellers in electronics generally, and then you can narrow it down. For example, let's look into home audio, and then you can see there's a home audio and theater products. For whatever reason, there's a power bank here, a mobile battery under home audio and theater products. But you can better understand what the rankings are and what might be your competitor or your competition in your respective niche. You can do the same for Rakuten. So Rakuten unfortunately does not have an English option, but it's still worth considering. So you basically go to the second tab from the right. So this is this dark orange between red and orange, dark orange. You go to ranking, which is in katakana ranking, and there you can see the different rankings by category. And this is daily ranking or real-time ranking. Now here you can also change the different categories. So if we go to the same category as in Amazon, this is Denka or electronics. Let's go to the overall ranking. There's also ceramic seat. So this is okay. So this is a small heater, a fashionable heater here, which is on number 1. And here's a air purifier, or one that gives like air humidity, and then air dryers and so on and so on. So here you can also go by ranking. For this one, you might need a Google Translate tool if you don't speak Japanese or read Japanese, because as mentioned, Rakuten does not have an English website. So for you, a good start would be Amazon, but if you want to dive deeper, I highly recommend you also checking out Rakuten, because here you can also identify how different the product listing is from product listings that you might be used to. So there's a lot of information in here, which usually you do not have that much on a Amazon US website. So let's look at the listing here. This is more typically like in Japan, like in the US, but you can see that the information might be not as detailed as on Rakuten. Rakuten in that aspect is a lot more Japanese. Japanese just love better, more information than not enough. So better, a lot of information, even if it's fine print. That is something that is much appreciated, even if it doesn't look aesthetically or design-wise that appealing. Then in Amazon shopping, we have a kind of a different approach. Here we have the best store. So you can go by rankings of best store in the different categories. What are the different stores for this month or for the year? So let's go into electronics or smartphones. Then you also have area rewards. Let me see. Okay. So here you can see which stores were the most popular. They don't really have a ranking like on Amazon or Rakuten. And you can see, for example, the best one is Kojima Yahoo Shopping. So Kojima is also, together with Big Camera, this is a big electronics store, and they also have a Yahoo Shopping store where they do their online retail activities. So does Joshin Web. Those are all Yamada. Those are all basically big electronic stores in Japan that dominate the rankings here. So much about the 3 different or main platforms. There are many other platforms like Zozo Town and so on for fashion and so on, but those are the most important ones in regards to B2C. Moving on to partnerships with local businesses. So there are different options on how you can think about partnerships with local businesses. I just want to give you an example of what you can do if you look for a partnership with local businesses. If you have a B2C product, it is usually best to find a distributor, and you can either contact Japan External Trade Organization, or you can do a quick online research in saying distribution for your specific product category, and then Japan. Maybe if you want to take it one step further, use Google Translate to translate that and look for different partners and create a list of the different business partners that you might have, and in Japan the different options, and then try to contact them one by one. Of course, another option, if you're not only interested in exporting but long term, to open up a branch office in Japan External Trade Organization might help you. Please keep in mind that they are partially government funded, and their objective is to help you open a branch office in Japan, pay local sales tax in Japan, and hire Japanese staff long term. So this is how they are basically working on, or how they are motivated to help you. If you just say that you're only interested in exporting, chances are you won't get the support that you expect from Japan External Trade Organization, which is a trade promotion agency. Now, what you can also do is to work with a partner. I give you here an example. They're called Coview. I had some meetings with them in the past with one past client, and they could be a local partner in regards to importing, in regards to logistics, marketing, sales, and online shopping platform management. So they can be the one-stop shop. If you want a kind of all-in-one solution, this might be an option for you to consider. Now, as an example of how to enter the Japanese market, I just pulled up one case study of a past client of mine, where I can disclose the information. It's been because it's been already a while ago. The musical instruments manufacturer, Earthquake Devices, US manufacturer of boutique effects pedals for guitars and other electric instruments. They managed to find a business partnership with Yamaha. What we did is we went to a trade show, to the biggest musical instruments trade show in the world, and basically knocked on the doors and tried to pitch to all the major distributors of musical instruments. And we were lucky enough to find representatives from Yamaha that were open to listening to the Japanese presentations that we had prepared, and the pitch was successful, and we did a due diligence on top 4 candidates. One of them was Yamaha. Went even to Japan, looked at all their facilities, and then the owners of the company made a decision on going with Yamaha, basically because they just felt that they had the best connections, network, and marketing budget to give the Earthquaker Devices brand what it deserves on the Japanese market. And they were successfully increasing their revenue from, I think, less than $2,000 per year to around $200,000 within the first year, and growing consistently from there. So this is just an example. I also want to give you an example. So this was in terms of business partnership, but I want to give you an example in terms of a physical store, what has happened. So Forever 21 brand, from the US fashion brand, about 4 years ago, I think pre-COVID, retreated from the Japanese market. They were not successful, were losing a lot of market share to online fashion stores like Zozo Town and so on. And so what they did, because they also had like a branding of a fast food fashion, and that was not that much appreciated in Japan. So they moved to a pop-up shop strategy, where they would just promote their reintroduction into the Japanese market just temporarily, and then focus on online for a while, but then going back into retail stores in a strategy to up to 15 stores, I think, in 2028. We can look into this real quick. So the retailer opened a showroom type store for a limited time in Tokyo's Shibuya ward, which is like the most fashionable ward or fashion conscious ward in Tokyo, or I would say maybe even in Japan. Customers will only be able to look at but not buy the brand's clothing there. So this is to reintroduce the brand. And then there will be, Forever 21 will sell its items only online for the time being. But in April, it will open its first regular shop after its relaunch in Japan at the Lala Port Shopping Park in Kodama in Osaka. So the company aims to have 15 stores in Japan and achieve 10 billion yen or 74 million in sales in the fiscal year ending in February 2028. So what is also interesting, because they kind of made an agreement with Adastria, which is a large Japanese apparel company that runs popular brands such as Global Work, is now in charge of product planning and sales for Forever 21 items. So they made a local partnership with that brand or this apparel company to reintroduce their items into the Japanese market. So this is, I think, also interesting. I'll go a bit more because this might be a good case study for your situation as well. Before withdrawing, Forever 21 was regarded as a typical fast fashion brand, a business model where a clothing brand quickly produces and sells fashionable, inexpensive clothing. This time, however, it plans to change its image with clothing that is conscious of sustainability. Again, based on market research, I think they did their homework, understanding what might be more appropriate for their brands to find acceptance on the Japanese market. Reflecting on lessons from the past, we will not make waste. We would like to shed the image of fast fashion, said Atsushi Sugita, president of Gatewind Co., Adustria's subsidiary, who I guess is in charge of Forever 21 in Japan. Forever 21 first entered the Japanese market in 2009 and had more than 20 stores. Its shop in Tokyo's Harajuku district was so popular that more than 3 million customers had passed through its doors just 6 months after opening. However, facing the increasing popularity of internet shopping and other factors, its management company went bankrupt in 2019. There you go, just before COVID. Itochu Corp., a major Japanese trading company, struck an exclusive distributorship agreement in Japan with an American company that had bought the rights to the brand. That made it possible for Forever 21 to re-enter the Japanese market. So Itochu is a big trade company, one of the 5 big trade companies among Mitsubishi, Marubeni, Mitsui, Sumitomo, and then Itochu. And they started a distributorship agreement with the American company that had bought the rights to the brand Forever 21. So that made it possible for Forever 21 to re-enter the Japanese market. Gatewin wanted to use the brand name Forever 21 because it has worldwide recognition, Sugita said. So Gatewin, I guess, being part of Adastria, which was then in turn working with Itochu, the trading company that had this exclusive distributorship in Japan. As you can see, there are many players. Sometimes how it works out in Japan, until you get to the right person, you might have to go over or through several channels to find the right connection there. When Forever 21 first came to Japan, customers benefited from its affordable prices, such as a dress for just 1,000 yen, but the merchandise was seen as being cheap but poorly made. The brand was also criticized for discarding massive amounts of unsold clothing. This time, the average price of the brand's item will be approximately 4,000 yen, and they will be of higher quality. It will also undertake initiatives to help protect the environment, such as collecting used clothing and drastically reducing the amount of water used to make a pair of jeans. So this, obviously, in terms of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that are also, the consumers are also aware in Japan, and more people demand that, or feel that, let's say, obligation to follow those SDG requirements that many companies are also following, is something they were considering. Now, that was just an example of a case study of Forever 21 after they had not successfully or had retreated from the Japanese market, went back in there. So if you consider to set up a physical store long term, you really have to take into consideration the importance of location and the design. Now, as you know, as I mentioned, this is the Tokyo Shibuya Award, so this would be the most fashionable location in Tokyo, and people know that. So this is the perfect spot for Forever 21. Whatever niche you're in, try to do your due diligence on what might be the best location for your product or service. So if it's electronics, it might be Akihabara. If it's anything related to fashion, Shibuya is a good spot, but there are many other spots in Japan that you should consider depending on your product or service that you're offering. Then, in addition, in Japan you cannot really be successful if you only, long term, in the short term maybe yes, but long term if you only sell online. So there has to be a balance of online and offline. As you can see here, Forever 21 really wanted to make sure, or let's say the Japanese business partners really knew how to reintroduce the brand to the Japanese market, showing the consumers that this was a reliable brand. They had stepped up their game in terms of quality, and also price was increasing, but that people knew it's not just the same old, but for a higher price. So they opened up this shop just for consumers to look at the product. Now, what I would say in regards to the things that we've learned today is that, first of all, truly understand where you are in your niche. So do the market research, use the steps and the options that I showed you in Amazon, on Rakuten, on Yahoo Shopping, and also consider when finding a business partner, utilizing Jetro, working with a marketing agency in Japan to, if you really want to minimize the work, get done everything from out of one hand, because if you just work with a distributor, sometimes it can happen that they don't do a lot of marketing, but only are doing logistics and not much more, and you're wondering why there aren't any sales of your product in Japan. And then last but not least, when you are in the state of opening up a shop in Japan, or when you are already successful to a certain amount online in Japan, or through a distributor, or business partner, try to identify options of having your products in physical stores as well, and make maybe a big launch announcement on how you are entering the Japanese market and how your brand is available in Japan, also in retail stores, but not only online, so people can actually come, see, and touch your product. Now, this was the episode about sales channels, and in the next episode, we're going to talk about cultural considerations in business. What are the do's and don'ts in Japan when doing business with Japanese? What do you have to take into consideration when addressing Japanese consumers, doing the marketing with Japanese consumers, business negotiations, and so on and so on. So I'm looking forward, and I'm excited for the next episodes as well. I encourage you to leave me comments and questions about this episode, about future episodes, in the comments below or in social media, and share your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and maybe you have another subject or a theme that you want me to cover. I'd be looking forward to hearing from you. And again, I thank you for listening to the sales channels in Japan. I hope that you found something of value in this episode. This is Eric signing out. Arigatou gozaimasu.